Hi, welcome back to another video of Planning with Britt. We're going to plan for the week of July 14th through the 20th in my Plans by Just Scribble B6 horizontal planner, and we're using Chic Summer from Love Posh again this week. So if that's something you're interested in, you want to tune in for this plan with me, then hang out for just a little bit. So this week we're going to plan the week of July the 14th. I'm also going to flip through and show you kind of a little bit One Book July catch up, check in and see how it's going. But we're going to use this Love Posh Chic Summer sticker book. We're going to use this collection here. It's like, looks like a cabana, pool days, just pretty colored summer themed. I have pulled a few Crayola Super Tip markers that I think go pretty well with the images we're going to use here. I pulled a couple of Simply Gilded washies from an older sub box from last year. They're new. I hadn't used them yet, so we're going to use those. I have my same Japanese pen I've been using for a bit in this planner. My piece of A5 paper that I'm using like blotter paper, and then we're in the B6 plans from Just Scribble. So we can do a little like update before we get started. The front's still all the same. Nothing has changed in here. Still haven't done anything with this spread yet. I have a few ideas. I just need to really spend a little more time thinking about it and maybe get started using it, because we're about midway through July at this point, so I need to make my mind if I'm going to use it. And maybe August is where we start. I don't know. We'll deal with that when we get there. Nothing new I've added here. I haven't done much with this page either. I think I had an idea for this, and I don't remember what it was now, but it's probably in one of my earlier videos. If you want a little more back on the back planning setup of this B6 Plans by Just Scribble, a couple videos back I started with the setup and did all of that through here. So annual goals, still nothing changed there. I haven't made up my mind still about what I'm going to do here. I did finish all my HB90 planning for this quarter, so I may track some of that here. It may just make a currently dashboard for the quarter. Maybe just list out some summer favorites. I don't really know, but that's what we got for right now. Quarter 3 goals have not changed. I have not added anything to this tracking section yet. I am going to use my goal action items, which I'm tracking either here or here in the weekly. And so I can go back in and add that stuff because it's already tracked pretty easily for me in there. I haven't done any more with this just yet either. I did put a couple of stickers here on this little section, and I made some notes that probably were not here the last time we talked. This one is going to be tracking when I've uploaded things to YouTube and TikTok. I also made Instagram stickers, but I pretty much post something to Instagram daily, so I don't know that I want a sticker everywhere. I don't know what I'll do with the Instagram stickers, but I did create these so far, and these are bigger than I wanted, and so when I make a new set, before I list them in the shop, they're going to become smaller to fit in these boxes a little bit better. But I did list some things that I was thinking about for videos. One Book July, which is kind of the series that was going on here. I would like to continue this weekly plan with me. This will be number 2 now that I've posted weekly and bi-weekly kind of check-ins, and I want to do that with like reflections and actions, and these may all kind of combine into one, and then like a flip through maybe at the end of the month or the quarter, you know, something like that. All right, and so then here was my July dashboard and my monthly goals here. I think that I want to use this like currently for July, like some things I'm watching, reading, listening to, you know, something I'll list up there before the month's over and kind of keep an eye on some of that. There's my monthly that's just normal, you know, calendar kind of monthly stuff. This will be monthly reflections, and maybe this page will be for brainstorming new monthly goals, and we haven't come to the end of the month yet, so that hasn't been used. I think I've already flipped through most of this, but we can look through it again. I'm using this little section here for my weekly actions, my Moxie Life weekly actions. So you know, Moxie Life breaks those things down. They don't really do quarterly goals per se. They do annual and then monthly, but I do like the quarterly goals. So I took my quarterly goals and then I break them down into monthly goals. And then from my monthly, I'm putting weekly action items to try to reach those goals. Some things need tracking. Some things I'm tracking kind of here on this little spread itself. And then after that, we'll have weekly reflections. So I know we haven't seen this yet. So this is the reflections for June 30th through July 6th. I made some stickers. I'm not sure where I brought them back in here, but I made some stickers for my shop that have like the weekly reflections questions. So there's these, and I just put them down here and answered the questions there. So wins, what's working, what isn't working, lessons learned and adjustments. So these are the questions on the Moxie Life Weekly Reflections page in their planner. And I still use that system. I'm just using it wherever I'm at. And then these daily pages, I think we've already looked at. And then the last video was the plan with me for this week. I'm not sure that these were filled in the video. They may have been. And then this is kind of how the week turned out. So that's all the things there. And then the dailies. So right before the dailies, I reflected on the week of the 7th through the 13th. Wins, what's working, isn't working, lessons learned, and adjustments. And then I will come, these are the daily pages, and then we're ready to set up a new week. And so that's kind of how that little flow will go as far as the Moxie Life things, and then coming back to that. So that's where we're at right now. And we're going to kind of just start setting this up. I'm going to move this weekly tab off. Oh, nope, that was not weekly. That was today. And this one is the week one. I'm going to move those tabs off while we set some stuff up here. And then we will kind of move through and get done. I did also create a monthly reflection sheet with the questions that you would answer for a month for the Moxie Life system. And that's what will go on that page that we looked at back here. Where was that page? Right here. So we'll answer monthly reflections questions here and probably do some brainstorming for the next month. And maybe not. If not, we can just decorate again, which I don't mind adding decorations to my planners at any point in time. Sorry for the dog. Sounded a little grumpy in the background. All right. So we're going to add some of these Love Posh stickers. Sorry for the rude animals there. I had to take a little break. They wanted to bark. One of the dogs is Shadow Puppy. She stays right by me. She hears the other dogs make a noise, and so she feels like she needs to bark, even though she has no idea what's going on in the other part of the house because she's in here with me. But that's okay. She is the worst one at the barking. And once she gets started, she seems to bark forever. So I'm going to put in some of this basic weekly plan stuff that we put in last time. And some things that I know for sure that are happening already. So watering plants happens on Mondays. This coming week, I also need to feed my plants. So I'm going to add that on the top. We also need to feed the plants. Yeah, they need to be fed. I try to do that every other week or so. We are memory keeping on Wednesday evenings instead of shop work, or that's what we're attempting to do. We do weigh-ins on Thursday. Finances happen on Friday mornings. Except this past week, they didn't happen at all. And they will this next week. Pool care. This is testing the water and adjusting chemicals and doing whatever needs to be done at the pool. And then on Sunday, I want to plan a weekly reset. Okay, so that is that. Pool care will probably actually happen. I'm probably going to move this up like this because we are not going to be in town on Saturday. We're going to be out of town for a family reunion, and so that is going to make this need to happen at a different time. So for Monday, timed events, I don't think there is any here. There's a, let's list it like this, Rising freshman meeting at school that I'm not required to attend. I'm pretty positive it's at 5:30 on Tuesday. I don't know if I will go or not, but it's a possibility. I don't teach freshmen, but I do sponsor student council, and we could definitely use some freshman involvement. So that's a plus. Also, I'm having an IG live. I'm going to participate in IG live with Planner Palooza on Tuesday evening at 8 p.m. Let's see, what else? This is the Mendez reunion. This is my family's reunion on Saturday. I think they're starting about noon. Yes, I have a meeting here. Garza County Healthcare District meeting at 5 p.m. I sit on the hospital board for my, or healthcare district board for my county. That meeting is at 5 p.m. on Thursday. That's all that I know for sure. I think that we're going to meet and pick up my mother-in-law this day. Depending on what time, I may not be able to go because I have that meeting. We haven't finalized the time with my in-laws yet to decide what time that we need to meet to pick her up. So we'll figure that out. So this is going to be weekly actions here. I probably should create a sticker that says that, but sometimes when I have a sticker in the same place every week, it makes that very bumpy. So we may not add that. We may just keep continuing on with the pen like we are now. So weekly actions will go there. My focus this week, I have a couple things I want to get done. I want to test new paper. That's for the shop. And I'm not separating like shop and non-shop things. I'm kind of we're just living with it all together at the moment. So we probably want to test some new paper this week. There's some paperwork I need to get handled for this and ready so that I can submit my forms on this day. Other priorities this week, I maybe need to schedule my spa day. My lovely husband bought me a gift card to a spa, and I'm going to do that before I go back to school. And I'm not sure if I'm going to do it the following week, so the week of the 21st or the week after that. But somewhere in there before I go back to work. So those things I know for sure need to get handled. The only things left on my to-do list to add over here were this has been on my to-do list for quite some time now. I'm not sure why I'm procrastinating about it because it doesn't take very long, but we will get it done this week. Yes, so there's those. I'm not sure of what else and like to do. Those will kind of get filled in as they come up, and tracking. And then this is going to be meals over here. Pretty sure I have been marking meals that way. Yeah, I did write the word in there. I think I'll just go ahead and write habits in here. I kind of like them all labeled, even though I know what that is. And then this column, I still haven't thought of anything for it yet. I may end up using it for something when school starts. This might be a really good place for me to like list school to-dos down. But I really think it doesn't really bother me to have all the to-dos together and just kind of work off the one list. So we'll see. I haven't really made any for real mind up about how that stuff goes for work. I think all the rest of this is pretty good, and we can move on to adding a little bit of deco. So I'm going to start with adding some of this washi here. I apologize if this is loud, opening this plastic up. I probably could have opened before we started. My washi cutter is semi-handy. It is bent. Interesting. But this washi has that holographic coating, and so it doesn't always tear nicely. We're gonna see. Oh yeah, that tore fine. Okay, cool. I keep saying I should have started a washi graveyard on the back of my planner somewhere, but I haven't yet. Also been doing one of my weekly action items. You can see here says hobby mode reflection. So I put my shop kind of in hobby mode right now, and what that means is I'm just kind of doing what feels right at the moment and not on this hustle mode so much. So I was chatting with ChatGPT, and they came up with some reflection questions for me to ask myself at the end of every week about how things are feeling and what I'm feeling like doing, and then I'm moving forward that way. So I'm answering those questions back here on this first notes page. I've answered for the last couple of weeks, and I'll answer for the new week on the next page. So, oh, I have smeared that. Okay, so the camera cut off at some point in time here, and so we'll go back and I'll show you what I did and off camera apparently. And I was talking away, so who knows what I said, but it's fine. I added a little bit of deco and some washi here. I'm not using this column for anything right now, although I did watch a YouTube video recently, and something sparked a thought in my head about how I could use that column. I don't remember what it was at the moment, and hopefully I'll either come back across that or my mind will remember. That's, you know, one of the joys of being in the upper 40s is that sometimes things pop in your head, and if you don't write them down or note them, they disappear. And so that's kind of how that was, and it's okay. At this point I'm using it for deco, and I don't mind changing it up as we go. But for now, that's all I've added was this little bit of deco here. And then I started setting up the daily pages. I added in these little events here. They may or may not have been in that last clip. I don't really remember, but there's a couple things going on Tuesday, Thursday, and then my family reunion happening on the 19th. And so we'll be out of town for that. So pole care will have to move up and probably happen on Friday. If not on Friday, I'll take care of it Sunday when we're back home. We're just going for the one night, so it's just a couple hours away. Weekly actions I'll either fill in later or off camera and show you when we do the reflections for next week. And then I started setting up the daily pages. And for the daily, I'm just using some washi, a divider line. These little water stickers are in my shop, and I'm tracking my water intake this way. So I drink water in this like a 40-ounce Stanley, and my goal is to get at least 80 ounces a day. And if I sometimes get to close to that 120 or go over to that, then I can mark that there. And so instead of tracking in ounces or having 8 boxes to mark off or 100, or, 10 boxes to mark off for marking in 10-ounce increments, whatever it is, it's easier for me to do this. So these are available in my shop, and I use them to track with. You've probably seen some of them colored in on the last week. So I put it here. So I divide the page somewhere kind of in half, and you can see my lines that I'm not doing very good about. I didn't count columns like, oh, I need this many. I just am drawing a line and moving on with it. Playing with Brit stuff here, and then personal to-dos or timed events or things going down this column. When I go back to work, I will probably include my work to-dos here, just for, simplicity's sake. And it doesn't really bother me to have it written down like that. I do use a teacher planner, and I will probably, I can, if you'd like me to, do a setup video or a flip through video here on YouTube. If you'd like, you can comment down below if you want to see a teacher planner setup. And I use it pretty simply just for lesson plans and grades. So that's something, if you'd like to follow along on that journey, we can do that too here. So Tuesday, I just did the same thing. I drew a line, a little bit of deco, a little bit of washi, a little bit of deco. Had a good time with my ruler, letting it shift there while I'm writing, but I'm okay with it. I do need to go back and add water stickers here. That's probably about where I was at when I realized that the camera had closed off. I don't really know what happened there, but I film on my phone, and so I have no idea what that was about. But I looked down, and it's no longer recording. So there is that. Ugh. Let's see, you can just put this kind of over here, and then I need some deco here too. So let's find a piece of deco. Actually, I'm going to attempt to pick this back up. This will be a nice test for this paper, as I have not done much sticker picking up as of yet. I do have undo somewhere not super handy, but somewhere close by that I can grab if needed. But I was going to try to easily pull this up without tearing the sticker. Is not the end of the world. Tearing the paper would be kind of sad. I think we're going to leave it. I think we're going to leave that there and put the deco, different deco here. So we'll go down, we'll put this little corgi puppy. I have miniature Aussies, and so I love all the dog stickers. I have miniature Aussies and a border collie. And so there's a handful of critters that live here, along with chickens and cows at my house. So yeah, there's Wednesday, and now we'll move on to Thursday. So we've used all the colors except for a light pink, dark pink. I need to use this lighter blue-green color. All right, so we'll do some thin washi. I think that's last we did on Tuesday, and we'll put it on this side. This time I'm just kind of randomly placing it and moving it around where I place it so that maybe I can avoid some of those bumps. But this paper is pretty thick, so I'm not sure that it would make that much of a difference, but either way, at this moment in time, that's what I'm doing. And I don't know if I'll continue using these pages exactly the same way for the full length of time I'm using the planner or anything like that. But at the moment, that's what I'm doing. But you can see my lines, like they're nowhere near being on the same. So let's go in the middle of there too. Instead of going with one or the other, let's just go right in the middle and make a new line so we can see all of them. I did grab some baby wipes because I get the marker color on the edge of the ruler, and then I either smear it across the page, or when I use the ruler again, the other color of marker will bleed through with that, and I don't want that either. So there's that. I'm gonna put the deco sticker I want to use here first. This is the one I was trying to use on the other page, but I ran out of space, but it's made for this corner, so I couldn't really put it on the other side. Put that there, and then we need a water sticker. Track in some water. I should go back and add that now. I'm also attempting to track protein. Let's just start right here on Monday. We're gonna put it down here at the bottom. The grams of protein that I'm eating during the week right now, I really need to try to track those as well. I wrote these on last week's pages and then did not track, so I listed it on my habits to track, but I didn't actually track any of that. So, but it's something I really am wanting to just take note of. I know I'm not getting as much protein as I need to be getting, and that's something I'm gonna spend some time trying to work on. So we'll start with that. We're going to use this full washi all the way across the top again. I think I'm a little crooked and I left a ridge. But you know what? It's all okay. I said earlier in the clip I think that got erased, and if it didn't and you've heard it twice, I apologize. And I've said in other videos, if you know, perfection and lining stuff up identically and perfectly and all that kind of stuff is what you're looking for, I'm probably not the planner to watch. I'm all for it looking cute, but I'm all for, like, life is short. This is paper and stickers, and we're going to do what we're going to do, and we're going to move on and not be too stressed about the fact that something's not really perfect. So if you're here for that, then more power to you. A little bit of a hot mess over here, always a little bit of chaos, which is how I live my life, and I'm okay with it. So there's that. We'll add a water sticker and a little place to mark some protein. So I think earlier in the clip I discussed about that I teach high school chemistry always. I also teach some other sciences depending on the year. I also always teach a dual credit college level chemistry class for some advanced placement sophomores that need something different. We don't offer like advanced placement like the AP program at my little tiny rural high school, but we do offer a lot of the college classes. So I do take care of that for those sophomores that need that to be part of their high school experience. So they some of them have the opportunity to take the high school equivalent. So they get high school credit and college credit at the same time. I adjunct with the local, semi-local, I guess it's a couple hours away, community college that offers that credit. And we do that in my classroom. So we'll have at least one section of that every year, sometimes two, depending on how many kids need that course or want to take that course, or how many that it works out for their schedule. Being the tiny high school that we are, there's a lot of like one-off sections, and if a kid's in, like, let's say they need band is only offered one period, and so if that happens to be, probably won't be that way, but if that happens to be the time that dual credit is offered, then they can't obviously take both. But there are other one-off sections. I can't think of anything right now, but there's quite a few of those things that are only offered at one point in time during the day or one specific class period. And so sometimes that course can't, they can't make both work in their schedule. So I know they work really hard to allow our kids to have all the opportunities that they possibly can, but sometimes it's just not feasible with our tiny staff and the way things are set up for us. So it's fine. But some of them will take it that way as dual credit. And so this year, in addition to regular chemistry plus the dual credit chemistry class, I'm also going to teach forensic science. Forensic science I've taught in the past. It's a good fun class. I enjoy teaching it, something I really do look forward to doing. And yeah, it's a good time. So I will also have that. I think I'm okay to put this here. A majority of the day we're going to be at a family reunion, so there won't be tons of to-dos for this day, other than visit with my family that's there and hang out and enjoy. All right. Or do I want to list that? We can just list it down here. I won't have much planning with Brit to-dos, maybe some postings, but not much else. And then let's add a little bit of this little washi. Won't go all the way across with a little. I don't think I have yet. So I use a plum paper monthly planner for use at school. And like I said, I use the monthly to track like lesson plans. And then I use sometimes the note pages for things going on. Right when school starts, there'll be a ton of to-dos when I'm setting up my classroom, when just the beginning of the year, there's a lot. But on a daily basis, a weekly basis, like I can usually list what I'm doing here in my normal planner and not need to do like a full-on separate to-do list every day at school. And I also live my life with like minor to-dos, stuff that's like a one-time thing or just pops up quickly. I just have a running to-do list on a sticky note beside my computer, and that works perfectly fine for me also to keep up with what's going on. So I don't have a ton of use in a planner to write a whole bunch of things down all the time because I just don't need it. So I don't always do that. And then I use the checklist from Plum Paper, their checklist layout in the back for grades. I grade on that paper and my planner, grade book, whatever, and then enter that in the computer when we're done. We do some standards-based grading, and so we waterfall some grades or combine some grades or retest, retake kind of stuff. And so with that kind of a situation, I have things to like account for with that. So it's easier for me to make those changes on paper rather than typing things in and typing them out. And I also like I can highlight them in different colors that mean something a little different as far as like if they retested, what they retested, just the different kind of a system for me. And then I know instead of in the computer, once I change the grade and you've erased it, then there's no really documentation. I mean, there's a place to go in and list comments and things, but I find it easier to color code and do this on paper for my own sanity, and then I can know what's gone on from there. So let's add a water sticker and I need another set of the water stickers from over here. A water sticker and a little place to write protein. And we're pretty good. I keep losing all my things here. Pretty good for setting up this week. Okay, I'm gonna leave that right there for a minute. We're gonna go take a peek about weekly actions here and see about getting those filled in. I talked before about the marker colors I like to use are the darker ones, or I'm gonna go back to using those, especially on this paper. But they're at school, and I did go to school this week and this past week and drop something off, but I did not grab my markers. All my desk and stuff is still packed up. My desk is across the room right now, and so I didn't have like a place to, I could have dug through the drawers and got to them, but I just didn't really feel like doing that at the moment. So there's 8 of these, should be 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. I'm just missing the purple one. There's 8. Okay. That is the 8 Moxie Left Dot markers. And I may not have something in every area of life, but we will have a few. So we'll start with that. Let's go back to monthly goals here. I really should put a tag on these. Let's see, what do we have on month? We have list marked, and then I have month. But my monthly goals are, that's a tracking place. All right, I want to put this little tiny, where are the monthly goals? They're right here. Oh, so kind of the month tab. But I'm going to go ahead and add one of these Midori index clips to this page so that I can get back to it quickly when we're looking. So, so this is the weekly, monthly goals for July. And I'm also going to look at this weekly actions to kind of see and go from there. Typically always I have finished one book on here. I have it for a goal to read or listen. Audiobooks count as books for me. And if you don't agree, yeah, we're not going to argue about that. But I have it to read 5 books in the month. And so I really kind of need to finish one per week. The first week I did not finish one. Last week I did finish one book. Let's see, what else did we have? Weekly plan and weekly reflections. Those both happened last week. And hopefully, well, the weekly plan is happening now. So, but it's not just setting up the planner. It's actually using the planner that I'm giving myself a goal to do. All right, weekly reflections. Mani-pedi hair color. I probably will do a manicure this week before we leave town. I haven't had any polish on my nails. I'm covered in marker right now. I've been giving them a break. They haven't had any polish in a good couple of months. I use the Dazzle Dry polish system, but it's good to give your nails a little break occasionally. So, let's see, what else did we have on this weekly section? All right, we're going to move down to memory keep. We are going to memory keep, hopefully. The planned sale is done. I do want to keep my hobby mode reflections here. I think that is helpful as I'm moving into this new stage of my shop and kind of how I'm planning on operating past this point. So hobby mode reflections. My Amazon wish list I completed last week for my teacher classroom wish listing. Weekly check-ins, that still needs to happen. Okay, let's take another peek here to make sure there's nothing I missed. I guess our day trip, we actually have another day trip planned later this month, so I'm not going to count that going here. I do have Amarillo trip here, which is where our family reunion is, so I guess we can list that out because it will have happened this weekend. And then date nights. And by date nights, I don't mean like big fancy date nights where we necessarily go anywhere, but where we both quit working on our, businesses and like spend some time together intentionally, like to watch a specific show, to watch a specific show, or watch a movie, or sometimes it's day dates. Sometimes we'll go, eat and hang out during the daytime. So any of that kind of stuff, I mark as a date night. I'm just trying to make sure we're getting some intentional time together. Both of us owning businesses and things can get a little difficult to make sure that we always make time for each other. I mean, we get busy and it can just skip by the wayside, and we don't care for that. So yeah, we'd like to walk twice this week. Maybe the weather will actually cooperate this week and I can do some of that. Yoga can possibly happen this week. If I make it to Wednesday session, it can. I will not be able to make it to Saturdays, so that definitely can't happen there. So track, water, and protein. We are set up for success here to do that, but I'm not sure that we'll get it done, but we're definitely trying. We've got journal. We're going to try to journal 3 times. And then I need to track my spending and pay some bills on Friday. Track spending. Pay bills. Okay, what else do we have here on this weekly one? I keep flipping past it. I'm going to try to declutter 2 areas. 2 areas of the house. And we're going to zone clean 2 times. attempt to. Those are my least, like, least successful area for me, for sure. Let's see if there's anything else I'm missing. I don't think so. I think we're looking pretty good. So I'm going to go back in and put some dots with my dot markers, and then we'll pretty much be done for this week. I'll fill in the habit trackers later. And yeah, that's going to be the end of this plan with me and set up. I know this one, I'm going to try to journal 3 times. This is the family area, so weekly check-ins. We have to make a couple of dots over it because it's not very dark. The other purple marker is a little better, and when I get to that one, we'll have a little better idea of how we have there. So declutter is gray, the household area, physical environment is gray, and the gray one doesn't show up super duper well on this paper either, so, but I know it's there and we're okay with that. For work this week, I don't think I had anything. Oh, the hobby mode reflections is the only thing that we're kind of doing shop-wise. School not in session, so don't have to worry about that. Track spending and pay bills. This color looks so yellow on this paper, and it is actually kind of really green normally. So the paper is a little bit different, but I still am loving it a lot. So finish one book. This yellow is very light. So I'm going over those dots a few times to try to make them visible. Yeah, and I'm missing a marker. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. I had all 8 out, correct? Didn't I? I don't see it in my pouch. Interesting. There it is. Memory keep in this kind of brownish color. Okay, I think that's all for this weekly setup. I think for the most part we've got all that done. My habits, I'm not sure what I'm going to track this week. A lot of this I track here, but probably AM and PM skincare. What else did I look at last week? We looked at skincare. We looked at tracking water and protein. I have it listed here. I don't know that I need to list it there, but it may be good to see which days I am tracking it. So probably we'll do that again. And AM and PM meds, probably the same habits. We'll probably stick with those. I should have probably cut the piece of that sticker off. It's folding up. But I think this is kind of where we're at. I'll do weekly reflections here at the end of the week before we set up the next week's actions. And then we're on to the next week. Well, thank you for hanging out and watching this plan with me. And I will talk to you next week. Have a good week.